You know, one of my favorite sayings is, you can do anything, but you can't do everything. Boom, and now we've maxed out capacity right here. So now we have like a maximum overdrive of just being able to focus up, knock out a whole bunch of things. So we got planning and focused effort for us to beat this boss right here. Hey everybody, welcome back, all my busy bees, to another fantastic game that I have today that's been pretty popular recently. But before we even dig into the game, I just had a question for all of y'all out there. What's the difference between a laser and a flashlight? Well, the answer is the focus of the beam. And I ask that because, are your efforts focused towards your goals and priorities, or have you scattered your own energy? The King is watching. It's one of the reasons why I love this game, because it can definitely show you how important prioritization is in life, and ways to cut through obstacles with laser-focused effort. So, what will you choose to watch? Without further ado, let's get set to watch our kingdom. So if you don't know, the game is pretty much based around being able to only build things for as long as the king is watching. And so, like, for example, like, you can only have things function in this little section right here. See, only have this wall working and this wall not working. And so the reason that's kind of important to bring out is just like in life, you may only be able to start with, you know, a couple of tiles per se that you can really keep track of, that you can actually put activities into that'll start producing something, or start having a result. And so usually what happens with people is they do something like this. So now you got these extra activities that can't necessarily be acted upon. Sometimes you gotta shift your focus too, just a little bit, move it around. Boom, now we get some rewards. The other thing too is, this is another fun feature of the game, is you actually get to choose the waves that you're gonna take on. And so what I like to equate that to is kind of like your long-term planning. So now I'm like deciding on what's actually gonna be helpful. So now, for example, like month 1, month 2, month 3, I need to have these couple of things. We'll talk a little bit more about what that kind of looks like in the future, and I definitely have other videos out there on how to kind of plan out your goals, because you got to know where you're going so you know what to prioritize. So for this game, we know we got a boss to beat, so I know I'm going to need some of these spells, and I'm going to need some people to do it. I also don't want to be stacking, like, this is extra waves that are super dangerous to my very first month of embarking on something, and I'll save that bad boy for later. The other thing too, when it comes to your priorities, is actually understanding, like, what do you actually need? Well, how do we figure that out? Yeah, it's kind of simple. Down here at the bottom, we got our resources. What I like to equate that to is, it's kind of like your metrics in life, you know, how you determine that you're on the right path, that you're reaching a level of success you're trying to get to, or just achieve whatever it is, whether it's like a weight loss goal or, you know, something else going on. But what's measured is what's improved. So, like, I know to get these little bony boys, I gotta have high quality H2O. Well, if I'm not tracking how much water resource I have, well, I'll never be able to get the little bony boys. So in your life, understand, like, what are the metrics you're trying to figure out, so that way you can prioritize. You got two basic kinds of metrics. You have a lead measure and a lag measure. I don't know if you noticed any sort of weird skip. I was spitting so much hot fire that the game crashed. So definitely love having some small issues every now and then. Speaking of that, I don't know if y'all noticed in my last video. If you didn't, you may need to go back and check it out. But there's like a little, like, tiny, like, graphical hiccup because of how I was recording it. But I thought it was pretty funny when later on, looking back at it. Yeah, definitely word to the wise, make sure your screen capture is capturing the entirety of the screen you want captured. You know, something else I thought was pretty interesting too is, you think about, something else that was pretty interesting too is when you think about the enemy waves, because, like, you're planning out the waves that you're getting. So it's kind of like you're choosing to take on whatever that struggle is going to be. So I think it's kind of interesting to think about that. And with each of those struggles, you know, sometimes it's not necessarily even challenges you're overcoming, but it's like these would be like little distractions that try to keep you from what your priority is. And so now, as we're continuing on through the game, we're overcoming challenges, destroying distractions, we've got a new square. We've increased our capacity to apply our efforts so that we can be more effective, be more efficient, and be quicker at achieving what we're trying to get done. So here we are back at kind of planning our next quarter, essentially, of waves. And so we know what our goal is. Our goal is to beat the boss. So it's really helpful to have that. Once again, it's definitely more, at this stage, it's more barracks, always stacking up spells, getting extra resources. But now we have the capacity and the willpower and the focus. We can start getting a little bit more. So let's actually double up on our barracks by adding a little bit of extra difficulty and adding just a little bit extra. So now this next quarter is going to be a little bit harder, but we got to plan out. So we got to not just prioritize our day-to-day and a week-to-week, but our month-to-month and quarter-to-quarter, all to get to where we're trying to get to. You might hear me harping on the having an idea of where you want to get to, is because you can't really prioritize if you don't know where you're going. It just won't work. You'll be putting all your effort into so many different things that nothing will actually get done. The other thing too is you do have to take time to replenish. Actually going a little bit out of script for this one, but as you keep on having these challenges and overcoming, you have to take time to replenish yourself. So you have to actually prioritize restoration in your life. Otherwise, you won't just burn out. In my opinion, you'll kind of blow out. You'll blow yourself out and you'll just be a little bit further than just burnt out. I don't know if anyone has ever experienced that. I have a couple of times in my life. Definitely not fun or pleasant. I definitely can't recommend it. But you see, with having like this concentrated, concerted effort, able to accomplish so much very quickly. Like, look at all this. Look at all these things coming at us, and just with enough prioritization and concentrated effort, look at that. We're just overcoming things left and right. Challenges ain't got nothing on you. You know, one of my favorite sayings is, you can do anything, but you can't do everything. And I think that ties in a lot to kind of like a really important prioritization exercise. And to me, that one is kind of just breaking down like what's actually important and what's actually urgent. And part of that is taking the time to put that together, really. If you never thought about what's important in life, then you won't know. And if you don't have deadlines set to anything, well, then nothing's urgent. But then sometimes things pop into your life that are urgent as well. So that's another thing to kind of think about too, is sometimes you have to deal with something at certain times. And so the exercise I challenge y'all with is to get a piece of paper, make a little foursquare. So you just draw a line, draw another line, and then your x-axis will be not important, important, and your y-axis will be not urgent and urgent. And so some people get caught up in life. So many people get caught up in trying to do the not important but urgent. Like the little friend invites you out for dinner like in an hour, which, hey, there's nothing wrong with that. That's great that you have, you know, friends to do so. But then, you know, other things too, like, you know, at work, there's definitely a lot of things that are urgent but not actually important. You know, your manager may not see so, but your manager probably also doesn't know the difference between important and not important. And then you have some like life crises or huge things at like maybe a huge project at work, and that may be urgent and important, so you have to deal with that piece. But I challenge y'all to identify the things in life that are important but not urgent, because if you work in the important and not urgent, which is very uncomfortable to work in, that's where you actually prevent those like fires from happening, so to speak. But now we've maxed out capacity right here. So now we have like a maximum overdrive of just being able to focus up, knock out a whole bunch of things. So we're actually going to do a little something here. Going to put some smaller things down, because once I do, boom. So if you notice, now I have like an actual fortified castle. What I think about that is you've now laid and planned out the things you need to do and what needs to get done. So now what you got to do is protect what you got, and don't let things change unless they need to. You might be saying, well, Matt, you just said don't let things change. Well, I'll give you an example of what I mean by that. See, when you're focused on an outcome that you want, you'll know what can and can't go. So for example, this guy right here, don't need him. Boom, I need that. And so how I know to get that is because I know if I'm trying to beat the final boss, well, I'm gonna have to have more units to do so. So I'm gonna be flexible with my path so that I can achieve my outcome. So I'm just going to change up my focus, change up one of my activities so that I can get a different result on things. So that changes my metrics down here, changes my effort out here, so I can take down all these big things. And this ain't even the boss yet, we ain't even there. But once we get there, you'll see the fruits of all of your focused effort. Boom, and just like that, we got ourselves a final boss, the test of everything that we've been working on. All of our capabilities. And you know what else? All those spells that we saved up. We can start tossing those out too. So we got planning and focused effort for us to beat this boss right here. Now it's come down to just skeletons, but we're gonna do it. We're gonna beat this with just a whole bunch of skeletons. That's also why we made the time to build up our mental defenses to say, hey, it's getting a little urgent, but it actually isn't too urgent, but it is important. Now we run out of people and they're like, oh, now it's gotta be urgent. But it still really isn't, because you put in all that time in planning and preparation. And since you did that, you've just beaten the first level of it. Because just like with everything else, like priorities, goal setting, any sort of productivity, relationships, there's always more you can learn and grow from. And so now you can move on to higher level projects with a little bit more risk and also more reward. And so with that, hope you all got something great out of it. Please keep on coming back. I enjoy having you here. I hope you enjoy being here as well. With that being said, please make sure to like and subscribe and toss into the comments, what are you focusing on in life right now? What is a life priority for you? With that, go out there, be impactful, be focused, be loving, be kind, and I'll see y'all next time.